Ozempic.
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 A game changer.
Injectable weight loss drugs are hot.
The hype around drugs like Ozempic is sweeping the globe.
The market for weight loss drugs could reach $100 billion in the next 8 years. They could become the highest grossing drugs of all time.
These new drugs were clearly going to be popular. It probably got a little bit too exciting.
Ozempic with Govi, Mounjaro, no more sorrow. I don't care about my face, just a little tiny waist. Put that shot in me. Skinny win.
A lot of people, this is their last option. They have tried healthy eating, they have tried exercising, and it just doesn't work because it's not that simple.
Skinny.
There's no way drug companies can satisfy exploding demand.
We've got 0 stocks of Ozempic in the 1.5 mil, none available at all.
Put that shot in me.
The supply crisis has created an opportunity for unscrupulous operators to move in.
When there's a lucrative market in anywhere, you're going to get cowboys.
And they're flooding doctors around the world with ads for replica drugs.
These are the faxes that we get in advertising their Ozempic.
Oh yeah, that's dodgy ads. That's just totally unacceptable.
So they're trying to pass off as if they're the real deal. They just know patients are desperate.
And patients are at risk.
We can't tell you if they work, we can't tell you if they're safe.
And here's our vial. Looks like one of the ice packs has exploded.
Please, for the love of God, do not inject anything. We don't know what that is.
The team of forensic experts has descended on the house in Western Sydney looking for evidence.
Four Corners uncovers the homegrown scam sending suspect drugs overseas.
She was on our waiting list and she sent through the script. Hello, this is Alex.
This is the front line of an unprecedented drug shortage. Patients are looking everywhere to find Ozempic.
They're just ringing pharmacy after pharmacy after pharmacy, so they're just hoping, and if you do have the stock, it's like, no one's ordered the Ozempic yet from Sigma.
Not today, no.
Hey, it's Alex from Harper's Pharmacy. I want to place our regular Ozempic on back order, please.
Pharmacists are chasing stock of the blockbuster medication, trying to meet customer demand.
Is there any word on when that'll come back? Thank you very much. Okay. Bye. Not back. Good.
If you could order as much as you wanted, how much do you reckon you would order that you know you could sell?
I would completely fill all of our fridges, because that's the limit. Obviously, it's a fridge line too. But look, it thousands.
And how quickly could you sell that?
A few days. If we have the stock, yeah.
It's not just Ozempic. Customers are after another drug promising even more weight loss. Mounjaro was released in Australia last year, costing up to $700 a month. It started selling out within weeks.
API showing nothing, stock in 2 days, and yeah, the others have nothing coming.
We'll use what we have.
Yep.
In Australia, both Ozempic and Mounjaro are only approved to treat diabetes. But doctors can use their own discretion to prescribe the drugs to patients wanting to lose weight.
All right, so I think we've got about 20 units left, and we've just got to get through everyone on the waiting list until we run out, which won't be many.
Yes.
Right. I've been in pharmacy for more than 30 years. I've never seen anything like this. It's well over a year now that this has been a problem, and it's not like there's been no stock. It's just that the usage and the demand has been growing over time. And yes, I can't see that abating anytime soon.
These days, it's the talk of TikTok.
Have you heard about it? Are you on it? Do you have questions? Today is injection day.
You better work, bitch.
Where the medication is, we already put the needle on.
For me, it's sort of just not making me want to eat.
Success stories on social media have fueled demand all around the world.
Lord, if you let me get skinny one more time, I promise I won't mess it up. Amen.
Ozempic.
Ozempic.
Ozempic. Now there's Ozempic.
What is Ozempic? Okay, so Ozempic is a diabetes drug, so it's called Semaglutide, and it's known as a GLP-1 agonist. So what that is, it's one of our gut hormones that naturally gets released when we eat. And when we inject it at much higher doses than our body would usually have, it slows down gastric emptying, which is why you feel full. But one of the main ways it works is by talking to our brain and regulating the appetite control and the drive for food.
The GLP-1s are acting in a physiological way in the gut, and they're signalling the brain to say, eat less, you're satisfied with less, you don't need as much. People will tell me that now I understand how people can just push the plate away.
The weight loss potential of Ozempic was reported in a landmark study led by John Wilding and funded by drug company Novo Nordisk.
What we found was that the people treated with semaglutide lost about 15% of their body weight, about 15 kilos, whereas those people who'd just been given the dummy injections and still the dietary advice only lost about 2.5 kilos in weight.
What if all I do isn't enough?
Mounjaro created even more excitement.
Plus, people taking Mounjaro lost up to 25 pounds.
So it does seem to be, from the trials that we've seen so far, to be more effective than semaglutide for weight loss. We're starting to get into the range of weight loss that you see after some forms of bariatric surgery. And that's something that we've never really seen before with weight loss medications. So that, I think, was very exciting.
I feel like a regular person instead of a fat person that gets ignored or shamed. Any of that, I actually feel like I'm, when you lose the weight, I felt seen, which was a really nice change. I wasn't ignored because I was just that fat person walking down the street. I was 115.5 kilos. I tried the gym, I had tried eating healthy, I had tried absolutely everything. I went to my doctor, he said that you should try Ozempic. And so I did, and I was on Ozempic for just over 12 months and I lost 30 kilos. Then the shortage hit, and then it was game over. Yeah. And then I came to all back. What happened? Because there was no Ozempic, I couldn't keep losing weight. And then I was on steroids for my issues, and then that is like the weight gain, so yeah, very sad, yeah.
Studies show most people regain the weight they've lost when they stop taking the drugs.
I went from being really big to a size 14, and I was like, yes, this is how people are meant to feel. It was amazing. And then I went back up again, and I was like, oh, that was nice for a little bit, yeah.
Lauren Ash got her hopes up again when Mounjaro arrived in Australia.
And so as soon as I heard about that, I wanted to try it because I heard it's better than Ozempic. And I was assured that there wasn't going to be a shortage. Things were going to be amazing and it was going to be long term. So it was really, really exciting. So this is my Mounjaro, my weekly dose. So it comes in with a very big list.
Have you ever opened it up to read?
The first time I did, because I think you should. If you're going to take a medication, you should read all that stuff. And things you should not do, it's huge.
Okay, so this has got the list of side effects and everything?
Mm-hmm. Check with your doctor if children, they shouldn't take it. Pregnancy and breastfeeding, you shouldn't take it.
These medications can have serious side effects. Dehydration, pancreatitis, allergic reactions, gallbladder. Yeah. So your doctor went through
Absolutely. Yep.
all of this?
Yes.
Yeah. It's quite a long list.
Yep. Some people do vomit. Some people feel a bit funny in their tummy. Some people might have diarrhea. Some people might not have any bad side effects. My side effect was I had a 2-day migraine the first time I took Ozempic, and I don't suffer from migraines, and that was awful, but after that it was fine. It's just dependent on the person.
There's no reliable data on how many Australians like Lauren are taking these drugs for weight loss. She started a Facebook support group to find others like her. It quickly grew to 50,000 members, and it's not the only one.
I see many people that don't tell a soul that they're on Ozempic or Mounjaro because of shame, because of judgment. People just don't get it. They're like, well, why are you on that? You don't need to be on that. Or why don't you just put down that burger and go for a walk? It's exhausting. People just don't want to have to talk about it. They just want to be able to get on with it. So in our group, they can talk about it because we get it.
We first met Lauren in November last year, just before the latest shortage took hold. She was tired of the shame and stigma many in her group experienced, so she decided to share her journey in video diaries.
Week 7 on Mounjaro, I just thought I'd check in. So I have currently lost 6 kilos, which is amazing. So I'm feeling really positive, and it's really, really good to be able to now have more energy to play with my kids. Week 8 on Mounjaro, I put my script in with the chemist, and they said there's a short-term shortage, so I'm hoping that means that I won't miss out for too long. Trying not to stress, because this happened with Ozempic and I ended up putting all the weight back on that I'd lost, so that wasn't great. People in the group are starting to panic as well. Just taking it a day at a time and hope to God the shortage ends soon. Week 11 on Mounjaro. I'm just trying to get through best I can, really, and really not thinking about what I'm going to do once I've gone through all my vials.
Lauren grew increasingly worried as Mounjaro became almost impossible to find. Manufacturer Eli Lilly blamed larger than expected demand.
Update on my Mounjaro journey. So things have just been a bit crappy, honestly. There's been none available. I have had to completely stretch out my dosage, keeping it really low. I've not lost any weight. I've gained probably 1 kilo, which is really frustrating because I was all so excited about, losing weight, being a better version of myself, all of that stuff. So it's been really hard. People are desperate and they will do what they can because most of them have been on Ozempic or Mounjaro or whatever they've been on before and know that it works, and they just want to continue on being able to do that.
Pharmacists are allowed to make their own versions of drugs in times of shortage. It's called compounding, and more people are relying on it for weight loss medications. There's around half a dozen established compounding pharmacies making their own versions of Ozempic and Mounjaro in Australia.
The problem that we became aware of was essentially the scale of the compounding. So compounding of semaglutide products at a very large scale, so they start now to look like a pharmaceutical company, but they're doing so without any of the checks and regulations that a large pharmaceutical company need.
I mean, semaglutide is quite a complicated molecule. It has to be mixed in the right way to make it safe to inject. And my concern is if people are trying to do this, even if it is in a reputable laboratory that is actually used to making medicines, that is not the same as the approved process, which is what gets the drug the license.
Juniper's Weight Reset program takes a medical approach to weight loss.
Large telehealth providers like Juniper saw a market opportunity in weight loss drugs. When the name brand drugs ran out, they started offering compounded versions instead.
And leaves patients feeling fuller for longer.
Soon after, the Therapeutic Goods Administration issued a safety alert about compounded weight loss drugs.
The most important message is that the TGA has not evaluated these drugs, that we can't tell you exactly what they are, we can't tell you if they work, and we can't tell you if they're safe, and we have no oversight of the quality of these medications at all.
I think it's been a bit confusing. There's lots of things that keep coming out with TGA, which we post in our group so people can look at it and then they can make their own informed choices about it.
Many in Lauren's Facebook community rely on compounded versions of the drugs.
We definitely put that in the group as a viable option to keep on going, but only going to a reputable chemist. Don't go to these scammy things that come up in an ad on Facebook or you get an email. Yeah, reputable. Hi.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you going?
I'm good.
Kate is one of the moderators helping Lauren manage the ever-expanding Facebook group. They're often on the lookout for dodgy suppliers.
I've seen quite a few posts about being like the dodgy scams. I've seen a few with like emails, but also faxes and ads on Facebook as well.
Unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there who try to make money off of a really bad situation.
People, getting faxes from just random chemists. People I know in group have paid money and then nothing ever arrives and then they can't get in contact with the chemist. People just, they don't care, they just want to make a buck and they'll just do it to anyone, really.
Look, I think there's always the door open for people to scam people who want to lose weight. They have been readily scammed for decades. That'll continue.
We're about to take a deep dive into a pharmaceutical scam that's been operating in plain sight. It's a marketing campaign that's been targeting doctors and patients around the country. We're heading to Tasmania's northeast coast after a tip-off that dodgy weight loss drugs have ended up here. And they've made some people sick.
Compounded Ozempic we've heard about the last few months, I suppose. But then a few people around town when we can't supply them with the genuine product that we've had. I've heard sort of comments that they've been able to get it elsewhere, online, that sort of thing.
The only pharmacy in the town of St Helens has struggled to keep up with demand for the name brand drugs.
So what are the stocks like at the moment?
We can come and have a look. Current stock levels haven't been great lately. So just looking at one of our wholesalers here, we've got 0 stocks of Ozempic in the 1.5 ml and the 3 ml they have limited supplies.
And how long has that been going on for?
It's been like that since since November. Previous to that, there wasn't even limited supplies at any. It was none available at all.
Nothing. Okay.
Good morning, Open Medical Centre.
Last year, the local GP clinic started receiving faxes offering a solution to the Ozempic shortage.
So these are the faxes that we would get from the compounding pharmaceutical companies. It's a much more aggressive advertising kind of approach than what we'd normally see from compounding pharmacies. And so initially we ignored these until we had patients really being much more interested in the use of compounding medications.
Some doctors here began prescribing the compounded semaglutide promoted in the faxes.
I talk about the advantages and disadvantages of using semaglutide. Some patients lost 20 kilos, and that was really good. They seem to have the usual side effects you would expect from semaglutide.
And when did you start thinking something might not quite be right with it? What was the first red flag?
We had a patient who came in with an unusual problem, who had a sensory neuropathy, a problem with the nerves in the periphery of their body, so in their hands and their feet.
It was so serious, the patient ended up in hospital. The liquid the patient injected had an unusual bright red colour. The label said it contained semaglutide, vitamin B12 and L-carnitine. But testing revealed the patient had high levels of something else, vitamin B6.
They turned it out to have a really high vitamin in their blood level, and that was odd. And they weren't on anything that would increase the level of that vitamin, except for semaglutide from the compounding pharmacy. We contacted all of our patients who are using the compounded semaglutide and essentially said to them, well, I can't be sure what's in this medication, and so my advice is to stop it.
And how concerning was that for you as a doctor?
It was a real shock. Our patients trust us, and we trust that the people who supply our medications are providing something that's of a quality and a standard that we can rely on. So that threw a lot of doubts in our head about where this is coming from and what else might be in there or not in there.
And there was another local with an unusual side effect.
I've just met with a patient who was taking this compounded weight loss medication. She's told very few people she was even on it, so she doesn't want to go on camera or talk about it publicly.
Initially, she had severe diarrhoea and vomiting. Then, her mouth wouldn't stop bleeding. She stopped taking the medication, but the compounding pharmacy kept trying to sell her more. She replied this way.
So the pharmacy was offering the patients more drugs without a script?
That's what it would seem like when I looked at the text messages the patient showed me, yep.
So what we can see...
Doctors couldn't track down the pharmacist who made the drugs.
We tried to contact them after noticing this problem with the vitamin, and we didn't get any reply back from them.
Last December, Dr. Fox made a formal report to the TGA. The next month, they asked him to send a vial for testing, but he never heard back.
It's interesting when I have the conversation with the TGA, they go, well, we're not really responsible for managing compounded pharmaceuticals. And the pharmaceutical board says that we're not actually monitoring each individual medication. So it seems like there's a real hole in the way we look after these medications and how they're managed and make sure that they're produced safely.
We wanted to learn more about who was selling the red vials, so we placed an order.
And I'm going to press send, and we'll see how quickly they respond.
They replied, asking how much we wanted.
They've sent through an invoice for the semaglutide. There's a pay now button, $150 plus $14.95 shipping. But at this point, we haven't even sent a script, but they're happy to take our money.
Four Corners has spoken to dozens of doctors, GP clinics and specialists around the country who have been bombarded with compounding faxes and emails. They appear to be from different compounding pharmacies, but there are striking similarities.
Breakthrough medical weight loss solutions. GLP-1 mimics science.
The prices and dosage guides are the same. Many falsely claim they're accredited by industry bodies. Even spelling mistakes are repeated.
Compounding Pharmacy Alliance.
There's never a phone number or a physical address. Different pharmacies share fax numbers, and there's only ever a Gmail contact.
No pharmacy uses Gmail. It's not really professional. The fact you can't even find their phone number, I mean, that's already red flags there.
One pharmacy name that keeps coming up in the faxes is Total Compounding Pharmaceuticals, or TCP.
Again, TCP, total compounding. It's just dragging my name through the mud.
This pharmacy on Sydney's North Shore has been mistaken for TCP.
So we're called the Compounding Pharmacy Australia, so short TCPA, and they were calling themselves TCP. So when you Google that, our pharmacy came up first. Good afternoon, Compounding Pharmacy Australia. Adam speaking, how can I help you? We started getting these phone calls about 2 years ago. It was very odd. At times, we were getting 20 a day, and it was just really affecting the operations of our regular pharmacy. They kept talking about the weight loss injections, and I was like, we don't even do that.
Angry patients were accusing him of taking their money but not sending the drugs. Others who did receive their medication were worried about what they were sent.
Then when a patient was saying, no, I've got something in my hand, I was like, oh, wow, now this is going up another level. This is actually dangerous because they've got something that they are going to inject. And he was trying to explain, and I said, can you please send pictures?
The photos show red vials, just like those sent to Tasmania.
My brain says that is not sterile at all. Just even the way it's been presented to the patient, I said, do not inject that because that is not sterile. And so we don't know what is actually in there, let alone if it is the drug, and then how it was made. My team and the team at so many compound pharmacies were highly trained, highly skilled. I said, these are cowboys, expect the worst.
Adam Reinhardt says he reported what he knew to the New South Wales Pharmacy Council, the Pharmacy Board and the police. But it made no difference. Total Compounding Pharmaceuticals was able to keep selling the red vials.
The way they've set up the operation, only some of the intricate detail in compounding would understand how to do. All the information led to me that someone in the compounding world is part of this.
We've discovered the faxes and red vials are at the centre of an international pharmaceutical racket. Evidence from customers across the United States shows weight loss drugs are being illegally exported from Australia, with American doctors and nurses being targeted with faxes just like the ones we saw in Tasmania. The scheme has been operating under the fake pharmacy name Total Compounding Pharmaceuticals, or TCP.
Over here in the United States, it's extremely popular right now. Everybody's wanting to do the weight loss injections.
How widely do you think these faxes and emails are going in the United States?
Oh, I'm sure they're going out everywhere. I just don't know how they're finding out where to send them.
This nurse practitioner in Alabama ordered from Total Compounding Pharmaceuticals for one of her patients.
It took probably 2 weeks to get here. So that was like the first red flag. I knew the minute that it came in, I was not going to give it to anybody. It was going to go straight in the disposal because, number one, it was not cooled. And then I realized where it was shipped from. And it was from Australia. And I was shocked.
We found a litany of complaints from American customers about Total Compounding Pharmaceuticals.
They list an address on their website, making it look like their company is in Wyoming, United States, but it is not. They are really located in Australia.
I received a product from Australia. It was hot and unusable, lost $800.
Just be advised, Total Compounding Pharmaceuticals is not in the US and probably not regulated in any way.
Total Compounding Pharmaceuticals is a total scam.
I still get emails to this day from Total Compounding Pharmacy wanting me to order more medicine from them. But of course, I'm not crazy enough to do something like that.
Our order still hadn't arrived, but my bank statement revealed yet another name, Biopharmacy. Unlike TCP, it was once registered as a real pharmacy in Australia.
So this is an address linked to the company that we're interested in. The tenants next door have told us that there was actually a compounding pharmacy here, but they suddenly disappeared a few years ago and left a whole lot of equipment, including a pill press. They also said there's lots of unopened mail that's been here for ages. There's a whole lot of different company names linked to this address. So looks like they definitely were here. The tenants next door also told us that they had people turning up to the tyre shop with scripts saying they were trying to get them filled, and they sent them in here. And this is where there actually was a large compounding pharmacy, but they haven't been seen for years.
And then the order we placed finally arrived.
So this is the package we've been waiting for. We're going to have to go and open it and see what's actually inside. There's lots and lots of layers of plastic. It stinks. It smells really strongly like chemicals or plastic or something. Wet. And here's our vial of red liquid. Looks like one of the ice packs has exploded, so there's weird stuff all through it.
There were syringes and instructions on how much to inject, even though we'd never sent a script.
It says it was posted from Dispatch Compound Centre, Queen Street Mall, Brisbane, Queensland, Toowoomba. So we have really no idea where it's actually come from.
And then a critical lead came from an unhappy US customer. She wanted a refund, so PayPal told her to return the medicine to the seller at a residential address in Sydney.
So there's no answer at the door, but I've spoken to all the neighbours surrounding the house. They've all told me the same thing, that there's a constant stream of deliveries turning up at the house, trucks that back into the driveway and unload large boxes, sometimes things on pallets, into the garage, and that they keep to themselves and that the blinds are often closed.
We discovered the owner of the house is New South Wales registered pharmacist Emad Azhar. His licence states he's not allowed to compound drugs or have a financial interest in any compounding pharmacy. His involvement in the weight loss drug operation is obscured through a complex web of fake pharmacy names.
Would you be surprised to hear that we've found an Australian registered pharmacist illegally compounding weight loss drugs and selling them without a script to Australians and to people overseas?
We are investigating a number of organisations that we have information on that are doing things that are outside of the legal exemptions in this area.
When will that be able to be stopped? Because it's still happening today.
We are moving as fast as we can in order to be able to bring about the relevant changes.
When there's a perceived lucrative market in anywhere you're going to get cowboys, but the problem is at the moment with compounding, there's not enough checks and oversight that's happening. And so until we get that, we're going to keep seeing these cowboys, and unfortunately what it does is it puts pressure on the guys that are actually doing things as they should.
In February, the TGA made a move against the established compounding industry with a proposal to stop them from compounding replica weight loss drugs altogether.
The Therapeutic Goods Administration will move to ban compounding pharmacists from making their own versions of injectable weight loss drugs like Ozempic and Mounjaro. I'm joined by health reporter Elise Worthington.
The TGA has concerns that this is happening on such a wide scale that it could be a public health and safety risk. So it's kind of thrown people into a bit of a spin, because people who are taking these medications are very reliant on them. If they cease taking them, the studies show that people immediately regain weight if that's the reason that they're taking them for. If they're taking them for diabetes, they need to continue that medication as well. So of course people aren't choosing to take compounded medications, they'd much rather have the name brand, but that's just not available regularly in a good supply in Australia at the moment. Is this an admission that there's been a failure in regulation that's led to this point?
I think this is how regulation works. Recognising that there is activity that is not in keeping with the safety of the community and taking action to address it.
Total Compounding Pharmaceuticals has been able to operate for years unchecked. The TGA first received reports about the scam at least 5 months ago. Last week, we shared the findings of our investigation with them. 48 hours later, they executed a search warrant at Emad Az's home.
Forensics experts has descended on the house in Western Sydney looking for evidence. The owners of this house haven't been seen for days, and the letters that we've left requesting comment are still by the front door.
Inside the property, investigators found vials of red liquid, which they seized for testing. There was also packaging and documents. The TGA says its investigations are ongoing.
It's a natural progression, isn't it? Because people are desperate for a drug. There's a market. Someone's going to try and fill that market. I think it's a total system failure. We really need to solve this problem.
Dr. Catherine Williams despairs over the struggle to access weight loss drugs for her patients.
I suppose that's what I would really like to get across, that this is an emergency for some people.
Good morning, Metabolic Health Service. Wilma speaking. Okay, certainly. So just your name, please.
The Nepean Family Metabolic Health Service in Sydney's West treats patients with complex obesity-related health problems. The crisis over the cost and availability of weight loss drugs is felt acutely here.
Being an obesity specialist has really challenged me as a doctor, because I know what will work, but I can't always get access to what will work. And I see people suffering every day, and people that are really sick. And the hoops that we have to go through to get the medications to those people that will have a massive effect, and we can't provide that.
We know that when you lose weight, a certain amount of muscle mass is also lost.
Dr. Williams leads the multidisciplinary program at Nepean Hospital. Some patients have to wait for years to get a place here.
It's important to have protein food as you're losing weight.
But there's no guarantee they'll be able to access drugs like Ozempic and Mounjaro to help them lose weight.
So with the cost, if obviously it's something like $400 a month, that's not going to be in my budget to be able to afford. But if it was within my budget, I'd definitely be trying it.
So across the day,
I think everyone in this group has medical indication for these medications, and so if they choose that that is the right therapy for them, then they have the right to access them, and I wish that they would have the access to those medications.
And what have been the challenges with these medications for you as a service?
The biggest one has been the fact that it's user pays. So our patients don't have the economic ability to pay for these drugs as a rule. We're creating health inequity. Ayepe, would you like to come through?
It's not just the cost. Even those who start on the medications can't be sure they'll be able to continue on them.
So I understand you've been having a bit of trouble accessing the Ozempic therapy,
Yes.
and like expected, when you come off these medications, there is a little bit of weight regain despite your best efforts and you eating well.
It's a bit annoying, like it comes and then it goes and then you get confused in between. Because being obese or overweight, it's not something, it's not good. I wish we will have it for people like me, so that we will not run out, like every time you go, you get what the doctor wants you to get, and it will help us, because without that, it makes you also, your mental health, you start to worry and panic and all that.
Until drug companies can improve supply of the brand name medications, there's an opportunity for unscrupulous players to fill the gap.
I don't think anyone knew that this was going to happen, but I guess in retrospect it's pretty obvious.
So far, regulators are playing catch-up, leaving consumers exposed.
Don't go to these scammy things that come up in an ad on Facebook or you get an email. People are desperate because they just want to be able to be the best versions of themselves. We just want to be able to access these medications, and there's no reason for the judgment. They are life-changing. They're life-changing medications. So